What's up, guys? Ben here, bringing you another video today. We're going to recap some Rostermania news from the last couple of days, and it looks like we've got some updates from Crone on some of the rumored rosters. We're going to dive in on those as well, and I'll give you my thoughts. So let's get into it. All right, so we're going to use Crone's article here and sort of recap some of these rosters. I'll kind of note where sort of good news, new news, all that stuff. So let's get into it. The Thieves and OpTic, nothing new. They're still sticking. Nothing really to say there. I think the only thing is with OpTic and Thieves, who their subs are, but I don't think we're going to get news on that until later on. Probably closer to game one. Seattle Surge, nothing new on that front as well. I think big question on who's going to coach the team, who's going to be the GM of the team. Are they going to bring back Classic as a sub? But again, I think we're going to get more news on that probably either later on in September, or probably beginning of October, to be honest. Minnesota RØKKR have announced their team finally. And it's the team as rumored, Afro Bance, Attach, and Cammy. Really good squad. I think probably the best team that Minnesota could have formed coming into Rostermania, so you got to tip that. I really like the skill on this team. I think it's a definite upgrade from their last squad. It definitely wasn't a cheap team. They paid a lot of money to get this squad together, so expectations are super high. And like I mentioned in past videos, I think for this team, the key thing is getting off to a good start early, especially in respawn will be really key. If not, pressure is on everyone involved with the squad to really start bringing some championships to Minnesota. They have won in 3 years. And honestly, that's probably the best weekend of COD that they played pretty much in those 3 years. They had a couple other good weekends, but the results haven't been there consistently. And so they're going to be looking for this team to carry them to glory, and we'll see what happens. Next up, we got the Los Angeles Guerrillas, and the RC's pickup was confirmed. So we are rolling with RC's Hook, Spartan, Neptune to start off things for LAG. We'll talk about Slasher situation in a second, and Asim is still on this lineup right now, but unclear if he's staying, if he's going to sub. I think the big question for me with this LAG team is how good are they going to be? Because there's talent on this team, but they could be a team that really struggles, top 8, top 12, or they can be a team that's a contender. But there really is massive variance with the squad and some of the decision-making that this team has made individually as players, especially last year. So it's an interesting decision to run it back with the trio that didn't qualify for champs. I think this team's going to be on a short leash. I think another key thing for this team is who's going to actually coach this team. We've always seen that Parasite's been linked to this team. I know Marky B's been linked. Zender's been linked. D-Real, potentially. So a lot of questions still around what's involved with this LAG team. We'll get more clarity, I think, in the next few weeks. But another team like Minnesota that I think is under tremendous pressure early to get some results, or there might be some quick changes to this team. Atlanta FaZe is the next team up, and we finally got the announce Slasher is joining this team for Alec. I think a good pickup for FaZe. I think clearly they were done with Alec, and from my understanding of the FaZe situation, that there was just not a big coordination how they wanted to play, and they tried to do their best to kind of accommodate Alec, but they got to a point where they're like, we need to move on, kind of do the system we want. So they're bringing in Slasher, someone who's obviously has a pedigree of winning. Austin's been in some kind of ant teams for the last couple of years between OGLA, Thieves, LAG. And yes, he's won a chip last year with LAG. This is probably the best team that he's ever been on his entire career. And this man won a COD champs ring on Envy. He was on that Rise team in World War II. But in terms of overall skill, I don't think Austin's ever been on a team where you could argue that he was the 4th best player. And I think he's going to have it really easy on the squad. He really brings in some really good individual S&D play, which I think this Atlanta FaZe team needs, because they were, S&D last year. They weren't amazing, but they weren't terrible. Listen, I thought someone on Reddit put it jointly. There was a thread yesterday of what's the ceiling with this team? The floor is second and the ceiling is first. That's the best way to put it. I think this team is going to make finals. It's just a question of, we're bringing Austin in, are they going to win those finals? So let's see what happens. All right, well, let's talk about some rumored rosters right now. So Toronto Ultra, big development overnight is that it looks like they may be running this with Standy instead of Hixie, and Hixie will be on the bench. I think this is still a question mark, but it's clear that Toronto is not done making moves here. So let's see what happens. I like the Standy pickup. Scrappy, Standy, that's a lot of emotion, and they're going to have a lot of edge to that team if they go down their route, but let's see what they commit to here. But it seems like they're not 100% done with running it with Kleenex inside Scrappy and Hicks, and they want to bring in another. Boston Breach. So originally, CLAYSTER was kind of linked with this team. It looks like based on what Zen tweeted a couple of days ago, they are running it back with Zen. So that CLAYSTER link is kind of over now. It's just now a question of, are they going to lock in this Awakening signing? I haven't heard him going anywhere, so I think this one will be locked in and confirmed shortly. Substitute will be a big thing on this team. It looks like they're linked to bringing in Beans, who definitely a talented player coming out of Europe, takes the pressure off on getting his visa, takes the pressure off on him acclimating to living in the US. So I like these moves from Boston, definitely upgrading. You got to tip what Denz and Zed are doing over here at Boston Breach. Again, for Boston, you qualified for champs last season. Let's now build a contender. I'm looking forward to seeing what this team will do next season. The New York Subliners, nothing really new right now for the Subliners. Breach has been linked to this team for a second. I've heard they've talked to some other people, but it looks like they're moving forward with Preston. We will see what happens. We might get announced on this one next week, but interesting squad with with Kiz and Preston and Hydra lining up in front of Skies. I think Preston's a really good kind of glue piece around some players that are going to be a little bit more islandy, a little bit more selfish, which is okay. But again, for New York, as we've discussed, improve your team culture and start getting consistent results, because they have been like the ping-pongiest team the last 2 years. They're either good or they're bad. Let's see if they can put together a contender. Florida's the one I think with the biggest updates, and honestly, this one's a little bit of still a massive question mark. So it looks like around the Florida camp that Major Maniac and Vickle are probably the two pieces that are more or less kind of confirmed right now. And I like those pickups. Mike is a very good S&D player, and Vickle's a very good role player, and I'm glad to see that Vickle's getting a shot. But the other spots in the team seem a little bit more up in the air. So originally they were linked to Nasty and Gizmo, and I personally was not a fan of that. It looks like now they're linked to Havoc and Brack, and actually would be interesting moves. I think Havoc coming back is interesting, and Brack definitely deserves a shot back in the CDL. To me, this Florida team then is like all in on being sort of a 2-3-5 squad, which I don't mind, especially to start off the season. So let's see if they go down that route and which option. I actually personally like the new rumored roster over the Nasty Gizmo duo. I think it's worth a shot for Florida, who obviously are not going to get the pick of the litter when it comes to their team. So let's see what happens. London right now, it's looking like Pollock, Zero, Gizmo, and Nasty, but I can see Wardy maybe ending up on this team. From what I understand, the London situation is still being sorted. It would definitely be interesting, though, if they run this back with one change for London. Like, if you do that, that's okay, but we need to see improvement from Gizmo, especially when it comes to LAN, and we need to see improvement from Nasty when it comes to online. London definitely had times where they looked good. They had times they looked poor. I still don't like this team's upside against some of the better teams in the league, but if you want to invest in this as a 2-year project, I don't mind that. I like teams that commit to that. And London had some high points, so it's not like, you know, going forward the project is a bad move. It's an interesting move, but I respect it. Let's see what happens. And then guys, Vegas, the last team. That's basically my reaction. Donnie's talking to a lot of people. We're not going to find out about this one for probably another month. Not worth wasting any brain power on. We'll have to see what happens, but they can literally they're going to get whatever the leftover players are. And as for some of the coaching staff stuff, it's all still in the air, but I think we're going to get clarity on that in the next couple of weeks. That's it, guys. A lot of interesting updates. Let me know what you think, especially of the rumored Florida roster. You like that team? What do you think New York should do with the 4th spot? Are you guys surprised that players like Wardy aren't really confirmed in any of these teams? What do you think? And let me know, obviously, if some of the more confirmed teams, Minnesota, FaZe, that are making changes, LAG, let me know what you guys think in the comments. If you guys like this video, smash that like button. As always, subscribe to the channel. We're going to keep pumping out content for y'all. And as always, guys, we will see you on the next one.